Hey everyone, this is Charlie the Plug, your host of the Detroit Metro Plug podcast, powered by Empower You Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe so you too can be a part of the biggest empowerment network on YouTube and Facebook. We bring you weekly interviews of Detroit difference makers in the area of entrepreneurship, community involvement, also reaction to business news and community news. This does not happen without your support. Thank you. All right, welcome to the Detroit Metro Plug podcast. This is episode 128. I'm Charles McKay, aka Charlie the Plug, where I bring you difference makers every week live on the Detroit Metro Plug podcast, where connections matter. It's about connecting people. Connections. We can't do anything without each other. And I bring you difference makers who are doing positive contributions in our community, and particularly in Detroit. But we have a special guest all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Hot Atlanta, some people say. That's our sister city. We have a lot of Detroiters who have relocated there. So I'm excited about our guest. But welcome to episode 128. I'm going to play some air horns here. Happy Monday to everyone. Hopefully everybody's doing well. We are in the midst of fall. People have been having Halloween parties over the weekend. Hope you're having fun. Be safe. But remember, we are in election season. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm not making a political endorsement, but I am encouraging you to vote. Your voice is needed. Let your voice be heard. We have early voting here in Michigan. I got a chance to vote early in my precinct. At the clerk's office this past Saturday. So I'm proud of those who I saw in line. I thought I was going to be in and out due to early voting, but it was a few hours, which I'm not complaining. This is not a complaint. That means that people are engaged, locked in, and they're involving themselves in the process. So we're in a representative democracy. Let your voice be heard. Go ahead and vote, okay? And don't forget to vote on Election Day. And we have early voting. All right, so let's get into our topic. Let me pull up the slide here. So our topic for episode 128 is top PR tips for small businesses. Top PR tips for small businesses. Public relations. This is very important if you're an upstart business, a small business, or an established business, and you want to increase your reach, visibility, connecting to the community. We have an expert who's going to talk about public relations, how to engage with the media, how to engage with the community to bring more visibility to your brand. Okay, so I'm going to bring our guests on the stage and do a formal introduction. I want to make sure I get this introduction right. I'm going to put on my glasses. So our next guest is a seasoned public relations consultant with over 15 years of experience. She currently serves as the Director of Public Relations at Comcast Central Division, where she leads strategic initiatives to enhance brand visibility and community engagement. Our next guest also operates her own consulting business. Our next guest provides guidance to small businesses and media relations. Her previous roles include Public Information Officer at Public Information Officer for DeKalb County, Public Affairs for the City of Atlanta, and various communications positions at organizations like the American College of Rheumatology and the Atlanta Convention and Visitors Bureau. She's also recognized as one of the top 25 women in Atlanta. She is dedicated to leveraging her expertise to support entrepreneurs and community initiatives. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 128. None other than Suzanne Forte.
Thank you, Charles. Thanks so much for having me on your show today.
Yes. All right. So thank you. I know we've had some conversations and we connected through LinkedIn. So you come all the way from hot Atlanta to bring some good information to help us here in Detroit. So shout out to that. I want to first to kind of have you introduce yourself to our audience. And shout out to those who are watching us live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and on our Facebook page. And if you have a question for our guests or a comment, please put it in the chat so that we can recognize you and you can join the conversation. So if someone's to ask, who is Suzanne Forte? What would you tell them?
Well, before we dig in and talk a little bit about me, I want to say congratulations and just celebrate you for having over 100 episodes and on your journey. So thank you for allowing me to speak
Thank
to
you.
your guests. But if someone would ask me, who am I am a strategic storyteller in my professional life. I am someone who just loves reading. I love writing, and I love words. In my personal life, I am a mother. I have a 15-year-old son. And so professionally, I get to work with amazing organizations and business owners and helping them to rethink their story. And then personally, I'm working with my son and I'm crafting his legacy and his story. So I have two full-time roles.
Okay. All right. All right. We appreciate that. Wow. So a mother, uh, you have, of course, you're working professional in the PR business for a corporation, as well as running your own consulting firm. You have various hats. So thank you for your willingness to share your expertise on tonight's topic. How did you get into the field you're in now? Is your passion connecting with community engagement? Share a little bit about that.
For me, it started off really early. It started off in elementary school. So right now I am based in Atlanta, but I'm from the West Side. I'm from Los Angeles, California. So in
Right.
elementary school, around fourth grade, it started off reading the Los Angeles Times with my grandmother, or doing Reader's Digest they had, and they still have it to this day, the vocabulary quiz. I've always loved words. I've always loved reading. I was that child in the classroom that had their hand up. I couldn't wait to, read out loud. And so that just, I developed a love for storytelling very early on, which led into majoring in English at San Diego State University. While taking a marketing course, I had some different ideas and perspectives on how to market and talk about TiVo way back then. And TiVo was one of the first video on demand devices way back then. I'm aging myself, but that is okay. Um, but through that conversation and coming up with some creative ideas, that professor recommended me for a position with the city of San Diego. And so I got to work on some groundbreaking partnerships way back then. It's where a municipality would partner with a corporate partner. And so way back then, the city of San Diego was one of the first to do it. And so that's how I got exposed to public relations, marketing, community engagement. I've worked for a lot of organizations, really great clients who are doing great work. And what I want to share today, we're going to talk about it. We're going to get into it later, but it's all about seizing the moment, especially for Detroiters. Detroit is on fire.
Right.
And I want y'all to take advantage of it.
Right, right. Detroit is on fire. Detroit on fire.
Mhm.
So, just some kind of questions relating to your experience. So, how do you tailor your consulting approach to meet the unique needs of small businesses?
I think it's first is getting to know the business owner. I need to know everything about you, how long you've been in business, why you are in business, what are some of your product offerings, how did you come up with the product offerings, where are you located, why are you located there? I know it sounds tedious, it sounds sometimes it sounds intrusive, but an important part of good storytelling and good PR is knowing what's unique about your business. One thing that I would say, there are a lot of hairdressers, there are a lot of barbers, there are a lot of photographers, but what makes you unique in your industry is what you bring to it. And so, as a publicist, I'm always looking for the what about this? Tell me more about this. And even right now, data is critically important. Give me some numbers behind your business. Publicists, we need that so that we can help you in crafting that unique story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. I appreciate that. So you really have to get to know your client to craft that unique story. What are some ways people can tap into discovering their story? They may be a nonprofit leader or a business owner, and they may not feel comfortable talking about themselves and their personal story. They're thinking, like, oh, let me just talk about my business. What are some ways that they can get their tap into what is their personal story?
I love that question, Charles. As an introvert, sometimes it is hard to talk about and celebrate your own successes, but you do have people around you that can talk about you to other people. And so I say, if you are good at your craft, there is somebody that cannot wait to tell your story. I need you to identify who those people are. Who are those people that will willingly give you a testimonial? These are the people. I keep going back to hair because I love beautiful hair. And when I see, another sister, her hair is looking good, I'm like, girl, where did you get your hair done? I want to know. And so
Right.
when you are doing your craft well, or if your makeup is looking right, or it goes with home remodeling, the work speaks for itself. And so I would say this: if you are having any kind of reservations about telling your story, find some other people that celebrate your work and that are willing to tell that story for you.
Okay. What are some common PR challenges that entrepreneurs face and how can they overcome them?
So I'm looking at my notes because I did some research prior to this call, and the Detroit Regional Chamber recently shared a study from Bank of America that said, the good news is that small business owners are excited about next year and they're anticipating that they're going to spend, and they have positive plans for 2025. But when we look at some of the challenges are marketing, which is similar but quite different than PR. These small businesses having positive plans for 2025, but not quite sure about how to market or talk about or find communications professionals. So oftentimes you will find a small business owner that is in two places. One, they know that they need PR,
Right.
but they don't know where to go, or they can't afford it.
Right.
Or two, they're not quite sure what PR is, and they want to learn more about it. And so I think the challenge for a lot of small business owners that have great stories, they just don't understand or want to learn more about marketing and PR and how to get their stories out there. That's a huge challenge.
In preparation for our interview, I posted a few um, on social media about our upcoming topic, and I had someone a friend of the podcast, who did their own show, was asking me, "Hey, what's the upcoming show going to be about?" And I talked about top tips for public relations for small businesses, and the person said, "Man, they wish they could get a PR and person to help them with their business." And I think a lot of times people don't know exactly what you do or if it's in their budget, can they afford it? And I think some people think just posting on social media is public relations. And you kind of elaborated in your earlier response. Can you kind of give a better definition or a clearer definition of people what exactly is public relations? And for someone who is an upstart or may have a limited budget, what can they do to get started in the PR field, or at least collaborating with someone with your expertise?
So, public relations is a practice or a tactic or theory of where someone or something is telling others themselves. And so it is the process of sharing information with the public. But essentially, your first question was, is posting on social, is that part of PR? Absolutely. But what I will say is that you need a plan. Just like a business plan, you need a public relations plan. And so social media is an important part. And nowadays, sometimes it is a key part of the PR strategy. But just like your business plan, you need to outline, this is my story. This is what makes me unique. This is my audience. This is who I am trying to attract, who needs to know me. This is where I am. This is where I'm located. And then you use those in some messaging. And then you use those four components to create that social, to create that copy, to do the YouTube videos, to do the Instagram, to do the TikTok, to be very strategic in what you're posting. So, yes, social media is an important part of PR, but it's not the only thing. And I just want to encourage all of your listeners to be very strategic. I think, especially right now, digital first is a theme or a topic that you will hear. Digital first communications or digital first PR, and essentially what that means is it's starting with social media. But again, I would encourage the audience to have a plan, and what that means is it's shifting more from maybe about 5 or 10 years ago, there was this huge urgency of saying, hey, you really needed a website. You really needed to develop your digital presence by having a website. Well, now that thought is digital first. You really need to have social, really have a social perspective to build your presence and leaning into that. So your first question was, what is PR? PR is just external storytelling. It's not selling. It's getting people excited about you. And is social media a part of it? Absolutely. But please be strategic when you're posting.
Okay. External storytelling. What would be a good example of a brand that everybody knows about but has that kind of a unique story?
Of course, I think about Comcast in digital equity. But if we're if we're thinking about other global organizations, I would go to Coca-Cola or Delta.
Okay.
So these are huge brands that with Coca-Cola. Externally, they're sharing about their love for Coke, and Delta is about the flying and how they're premier in their services, and some of the opportunities that are exclusive to Delta flyers. Let me come back with some good examples of some corporate brands that are really doing external storytelling right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's good. And I think one that came to mind is like Nike with their "Just Do It" campaign and connecting with people who just kind of it's kind of they promoted aspiration, like just do it, not just running, but just whatever it is in your life, just go for it. Kind of a would that be an example of kind of a PR external storytelling, or is that more so marketing?
No, that's a good one. Here's one that just came to mind. I read today about goldfish. Goldfish are the orange snack crackers that we loved as
Right,
children.
right,
Right now they are in a midst of rebranding, and they are calling them the Chilean sea bass crackers as a way to
right,
get adults excited about these orange crackers. And so there's a
right.
huge social component. You have to go on social to order these new branded crackers. And so it's a way they have a strategy. They want older consumers to be excited about these orange crackers and not look at them as childlike snacks. They've put them on social. They've made them very limited. They've come up with a catchy kind of name and slogan. So that is walking you through an external approach of how some of our big brands are thinking about PR.
Okay, okay, that's good. I kind of want to help also. A lot of people who watch this are kind of like um, they're kind of in the beginning stages of their business. Most of them, probably more than all of them, probably have a full-time gig, a job or career, and they're launching something that was kind of a hobby and it became a business and maybe it's a passion. When does someone you think is need of connecting with someone who does PR? When should they start putting in their mind that they really need to understand what public relations is and seek out a professional?
I think in the beginning, it's perfectly okay to think about PR, to think about it and include it in your overall plans. But I would say to wait into the launch. And so as you are putting your story together, putting your products together, think about what you want to say and when the timing will be right to talk about PR. I will also say that there are lots of resources that are available to small business owners as they are thinking about their PR plans. And so I know here locally in Atlanta, there's SCORE Atlanta, but doing some research in Southeast Michigan, there's also a chapter of SCORE. And so
Yes.
what SCORE does, they provide mentorship, free mentors that will walk you through your business plan, but also some PR expertise. And so I think if you have a PR plan right now and you're thinking about it, connect with organizations like SCORE that could help you think about your business plan and when the moment would be right for PR. But I think at the beginning is okay to sort of like think about the storytelling, what you want to say, who are some of the outlets, traditional and both non-traditional outlets that you would like to reach out to, what those stories would look like, where they would land. I think at the beginning it's okay, but at the end, preferably it should be when you have launched or when you are about to launch.
Okay. So when you're going to launch and when you're about to launch, and the importance is the pre-work before your launch to come up with the storytelling of the story. Um, that kind of ties into what I'm going to ask you next. So can you provide an example of how storytelling has been pivotal in a campaign that you manage?
Mm. So I think of two. One is a recent example of a professor who does groundbreaking research, but most recently she did some groundbreaking research on the Black youth voter. And then also about the timing that this was the first time that research like this has been done since the civil rights era. Knowing that this is an election moment, a critical election moment with all eyes on different demographics, it was really thinking about who would be most interested in this story. So it was combining, talking about, without naming the professor, talking about her experience and her work and why this research is important, and then finding a key group that would be interested in this study. And so we found a Black Media Institute that really provides resources to Black reporters across the nation. This professor was able to speak to this group because they're actively doing work about Black youth voters. And she provided critical information and insight and tools to help them with their reporting. And so that's an example of digging deep, finding the story, but also finding the audience that it applied to, finding the organization, finding those reporters that would be most interested in that story. As a result of that conversation, one of the reporters was a syndicated journalist, meaning a reporter that works for an outlet that is covered widely. And so there was multiple articles about this one conversation and her viewpoint. And so I mentioned that example, one, because it shows about being strategic and who you want to target, finding those people who are really interested in your story, and also having a reporter. Sometimes when you work with a reporter that is a syndicated columnist, you'll get multiple stories, which is a huge value and helps with exposure as well.
Wow, that was a good example. Man, that was great work that you did with that campaign. I want to tie this down because a lot of our audience is from Detroit, and we're gonna do a case study that you worked on from an actual business owner from Detroit. And I'm going to show this slide. And this person I know, and she's also been on our podcast. Let me add this here. And she's been a guest on the podcast. She is a local business owner in Detroit. And this is kind of a case study. You looked at her business, her website, and she was going to be on the show, but she had a conflict. So the shout out to Rosemary Moore, who is the president and CEO of Sharp and Associates, an insurance company, provides business insurance as well as auto insurance, life insurance. I actually have a little video I'm going to show so people can kind of get a feel about her. Let's see, I have this video. So when we find it here, oh, here we go.
I'm so happy to be here with you all today. Again, my name is Rosemary Moore, and I am with Sharp and Associates Insurance Agency. And today we're going to be talking about business insurance basics, what you need to know as a business owner. And before we go on to our next slide, I just want to say a lot of business owners, we protect a lot of things, but sometimes not our ability to earn an income. And so there will be several things that we're going to talk about today that I think will be of use to you. And so if we are ready, let's jump right in and get started. So today we are going to be talking about, first thing is, why do I need insurance? Second is, which business insurance policies do I need as a business owner? And how much does it cost? That's what everybody often wants to know. How much does it cost? And I think the information that will be shared today will show you that business insurance is not very expensive at all, that it will help you to protect your business, but not only your business, but it will protect you as well.
Okay, so that was the video of Rosemary Moore. Just kind of get an idea. She does business insurance, different kind of insurance. And Suzanne, you did looked at the business, kind of doing a PR case study sample. And so this is a local Detroit business, kind of give an idea. So what did you come up with when you looked at her stuff? What would be your suggestions for this business owner from Detroit?
Well, before I get into some of my suggestions for Rosemary, looking at that video, I really loved her energy. I loved her presence. And I would love to see more of that on her social and on her website. I think what's really important for any business owner, but specifically for the Detroit area and for Rosemary, is to talk about your connection to the city. And so this website had lots of great content of the variety of insurance that's available from both personal and commercial. But some of the things that I would love to see is a little bit more about Rosemary, connection to the community, how long she's been doing insurance, why she's doing, insurance in Detroit. What are some of the rates in Detroit? And maybe also, today in today's conversation, news conversation about insurance, there was an article in the New York Times talking about $20,000 insurance for new drivers. And so is this a trend that we're seeing in Detroit? I think that's a good opportunity for Rosemary to sort of lean in. So my assessment is this business owner has excellent leadership presence, but what's missing is just some of her uniqueness and some of the unique value that she brings to the Detroit area.
Okay. So, so you're indicating just kind of that personal story. What's the personal connections? And so I think about, when I think about this as well, like I try to push, and I'm just using myself as an example. I try to push my podcast on my socials. I've kind of don't put a lot of personal things, but when I do, the funny thing is it gets more engagement. I don't know if people just the natural inclination is to be nosy but how do we have that balance where you like, I try to separate my personal life from business life, but people, like you said, in this example, this case study, you would have liked to see her make some connections, personal, how is she connected to community? How do you have that balance? Or when do you know what to share and what not to share? And how do you have those boundaries?
I love this question. So for Rosemary, it's her connection to insurance. So in my intro, I shared my connection to reading, my connection to PR. For Rosemary, it's like, what got her excited about insurance? How did she get here? For you, Charles, it's the same thing. You can still share motivations, your interests in a professional setting and connect it back to the podcast. I mean, I think you
Right.
do a great job of when you're talking about your love of books, how you're doing a book club, and you bring that back to the podcast. It's those sort of things like, what are you doing? Maybe if you're volunteering, talking about that and bringing that to this space. So it shows your connection to a community organization, something that you're doing, but it also gives people insight about who you are and what matters to you. It makes them want to do business. They want to connect. Oftentimes you're doing this because you want to build an authentic connection. This is separate from storytelling. This is about letting people know who they are, because oftentimes people are doing business with people that they like and people that they want to get to know.
So it sounds like you're using a storytelling strategy to really get people comfortable with who you are. Because, in business, as you just stated, and just in life, people just do business or associate with people they know and trust. And the only way you can do that is over time, sharing who you are, your connections to whatever that industry is or whatever that community service is, so that people can feel comfortable and you build a level of trust where they'll do business or they'll involve whatever community thing you're doing. So now it's clicking in. I was taking notes when you were talking. So I know that there's going to people are going to be watching. What is a realistic budget to work with? Like even on a special project or maybe a freelancer, what is the cost of working with a PR professional?
So that varies. I can't give you a cost. I think it depends on. So there's solo or independent practitioners like me. And to be quite honest, people like me, I'm more motivated about the goosebump factor. And so I take on passion projects. I work with entrepreneurs who are doing amazing things in this. They have a great story to tell, but they just don't know how or where. And so for me, it has to pass the goosebump factor. Like when you're telling me what you're doing, it has to like inspire me. And so oftentimes there are people like me who will just support and help. And so there's organizations like SCORE and volunteers, but independent practitioners, it varies. You could also do work with agencies. There's large scale, mid-size agencies, but there's not an estimate or a flat fee. It also depends on the scope of work. So as you know, entrepreneurs, their needs vary. And so it's hard for me to give an estimate of what it would cost, not knowing the scope of work and the type of practitioner that a small business owner would want to work with, because we're not all the same. We're not all the same.
Let's say I want to do what I call a supporter appreciation. So like those who support it, subscribe to the channel, watch it, whatever. And I wanted to have a supporter appreciation event, just saying, hey, thank you for being a supporter. What kind of PR things I would need to make that event, get recognized or noticed in the community?
So a supporter recognition event, timing, when is it happening? Who are the supporters that you are highlighting? Why are you highlighting them? So that's the first thing we need to identify. And then maybe one of those honorees have a connection to the community, so you can shape that and have them in your storytelling. I would definitely have some pictures. I would definitely maybe craft. I know people frown upon press releases, but craft a press release that you could send to local organizations. Make sure that you're sharing it widely. Those are some of the things that I would do to get the word out about this appreciation event. But the first piece is, why are you doing it? And then connecting it to a key moment of time, and having the stories that make sense. So when you're sharing that information with the public, to get them excited about it.
Right. Now you said
For,
something. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
for example, here's why timing is important. In the Detroit market, I heard today that CBS Detroit had a story about National First Responders Day, right? And so they were highlighting a survivor story. And so if there was some kind of moment in time that was important to Detroit, and you had your appreciation event, if you combine that moment in time, why is this important to the people of Detroit? I think that's an important piece. And then you can craft that story and share it widely so that people are excited about it.
Okay. Now, is the purpose of crafting a story is to get attention from local media? How do we get local media to do coverage, the free coverage? Is that something that, go ahead.
What's important to local media is it important to their viewers? And so I think the most important piece of this conversation is, yes, it's about the small business owner, but it's more about the value you bring to Detroiters. And so when you are attracting local media, they are looking for stories that are really going to move their viewers, that are going to attract their viewers. So keep that in mind. What storytelling can you do to help them in getting the city of Detroit excited or informed, or to get them to care about an issue? So it is about your business, but at the end of the day, it's about the viewership in the city of Detroit.
Okay, so you got, so the media, like the news media or print or broadcast, what value you bring to their audience, or what value brings to it. So whatever event that I'm crafting, my storytelling got to add some value to how it helps the city of Detroit, particularly serves the viewers of these media outlets. And that's how, because I always wondered, how did some organizations or businesses seem to get that free media? And I didn't know if they had a connection, because some PR people have a Rolodex or a connection of people, they can get them on the show. But some people have this organic. Do you help clients get on, whether it's radio, broadcast, podcast, or print media, or is that something? I don't know if you. I know that different PR people do different things. Is that something that you do?
Yes, so I do help people get on traditional or digital media. But at the end of the day, I think, yes, there are a lot of publicists that have great contacts, and sometimes that does help you to get the attention or a response. But I will tell you this, and many media outlets will support me in saying this, it does have to resonate with the viewers. It's going through the lens of why, because we're talking about Detroit, why does this matter to Detroit? And so, I think it's important to, when you're reaching out to media, to think about your story through that lens. Like, why does this moment matter? Why should this news station, why should this podcast, why should, even this influencer or, social partner, why should they share or care about this post or this event?
Okay. Yeah, because what I found, I've been in some circles where new entrepreneurs or upstarts, particularly in our community, that they have a limited budget with marketing and PR, but it's such needed. And so I was just trying to get an idea of what people can put together for a budget. But as you said, it can vary based upon the scope of work.
I just came up with an idea. So, today the regional Detroit Chamber came out with a letter about being proud of Detroit. And so it is a letter that is authored by small business leaders in the city. Essentially, it's about being proud about this new this new narrative of Detroit and the resiliency. If you were to have this, going back to this appreciation event, if you were to have a Detroit Proud initiative, right, or event, it gives.
I'm taking notes. This is almost like a.
I'm just brainstorming.
Call.
Let's see, Detroit Proud. This is the first Detroit Proud event that's being held in the city of Atlanta. I mean, the city of Detroit, right. And you're getting people together to show appreciation for the city, and you're honoring other people that are other small businesses that are proud of Detroit and the resilience and the value that you bring to this city. I think that's a story that people can get behind. It's not just, right. News, radio. That's a Detroit story that everybody can celebrate.
Detroit Pride. Okay. All right. I like that. Okay. So for the sake of time, I told you the time goes.
Yeah, it's fine.
I want, because people are going to watch this, and we'll have in the description how they can connect with you, because they may have more questions, and they may want to work with you. We may have a business, or maybe a corporation, or someone may be watching. So what's the best way that they can connect with you, and what are some of the things you offer specifically with your private or your personal firm or consulting agency?
So the best way to reach out to me is LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I'm super active. I do have other social channels such as Instagram, but LinkedIn is the best way to contact me. I love to connect. So oftentimes I have Fridays where I just talk to people. I'd love to get to know you, your business, give you some suggestions, and would just love to connect. So those are the best ways to reach out to me.
Okay. And we have your LinkedIn at Suzanne Forte, Instagram at Suzanne Forte PR, and they can also reach you by email, SuzanneFortePR@gmail. Just thinking, I'm glad you did a little bit of research about what's going on here in Detroit. What are some of the emerging trends in public relations that you are aware of that's going on in Detroit, based on your research?
So two big ones. These are nationwide, but they do apply to Detroit. So one is we hear that news media shrinking, newsrooms are shrinking, but surprisingly, student-led newsrooms are growing, are stable. And so why do I bring that up in this conversation? I think it's important to reach out to our universities and our student-led newsrooms and sharing our information about what we're doing in the community. These are our future journalists who will be leading newsrooms. So why not reach out to them now? Get on their radar now. And then the next one, of course, everybody is talking about it. It is AI, AI in the newsroom. And so we talk about different platforms, but what I want your audience to know is that AI is impacting media. And so there's a lot of partnerships between AI and some of our universities. And I can look at my notes. There are two universities in Michigan that are partnering. Either they have like an AI lab. And so I bring that up, if you're curious, if you're in the AI space, maybe you should visit this university to learn more. But the two trends that are impacting PR are student media and AI and newsrooms joining together.
Wow. So, man, so like where I live, I recently moved. So I'm back in the downtown area in Midtown, and I'm right near University of Wayne State University, which is shout out to Wayne State because I'm an alumni. So you're telling me that that their journalism department or their school newspaper, what do you mean? So I should build relationships with the students, or what are you encouraging us to do?
Yeah, so I'm looking looking at my notes. So the AI, Central Michigan University, they have an integrative public relation program that provides hands-on experience for students. So what that means is they have a PR agency that is led by students. And so they often work with real clients to sort of help them in shaping in them and how they think about PR. But when I'm talking about student-led newsrooms, there are specific universities that will have a student news group or student news reporters or student papers. And
Right,
so oftentimes these universities are talking about local, regional,
wow,
national issues.
you just gave me
And
some
so
game right
oftentimes, yeah, oftentimes, we think about
Right,
Cranes
right.
Detroit, which is
Yeah,
super important, but think about some of the student
no, I
papers.
know
That's a
that.
great way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's a
call
great
their
way.
paper is called the South End. Still called the South End, and their students. They're part of their grade is to cover stories, and they cover local issues. So I thank you. That's a great pro tip. So shout out. Hey, check out the local university, the newsroom, and
Yes.
then also
Yeah.
there are like U of M, even their business school. They have projects where the students got to have real experience, and they collaborate with local businesses to do
Yeah.
projects. And so, schools have, like you said, public relations, and a student needs to get experience. So they may help you with my supporter event to do some public relation work to help promote it. So that's a good pro tip. So, man, that was worth it, worth this
Yeah,
this interview. I hope that people find value in that. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah. So as we land the plane, just a few other questions. We're going to wrap this up. What's one word or sentence that would describe how the way you do business?
Mm. One word or
One sentence or
sentence?
phrase or to describe the way you do business as relates to
I'm a master reframer with empathy. So I am a master at reframing your story, but I'm gonna do it with an approach where I care. So again, I love to hear good stories. I love to work with great people doing great things. But I'm gonna dig a little bit deeper to help you think differently about your business. But at the end of the day, we're going to get some results. To show the community how you really care and what you're doing in your local area.
What would be a good storyline for what I do as a podcaster and connections and helping people and creating a platform for others?
I think just off the top is like you've made over 100 connections and over 100 good stories and more than 100 good stories about what's going on in Detroit,
Yeah.
Give me a little bit more time, but you are a master communicator, a master connector in Detroit, and maybe what are some of the results of these connections that you've made? What has happened? Out of
Yes.
these 100 conversations, maybe there's something, one or two key things that has happened.
Right. I got you.
Through these conversations.
Yes. Okay. Great. Thank you. Well,
More than 100 reasons. I don't know. I'm playing with the 100 piece. So
right. I like
yeah.
that. I like that. What has if you could recommend a book for someone to engage in as it relates to public relations or storytelling, which one book, or if you have more than one that you would recommend our audience to purchase or read or listen on Audible?
So this one, I was reading through it yesterday and I took a picture of it, thankfully. It's called Success Psychology of Achievement. It's a practical guide to unlocking your potential in every area of your life. And so it's not necessarily about PR and storytelling, but I think for business owners, it's all about success, achievement, how to rethink, you have the right mindset, when you may need more downtime, communicating. It's really about the psychology of success and achievement. So I'm going to leave that with your audience.
Okay. What do you enjoy most about what you do?
It's the people. It's the people and seeing the satisfaction uh when they have the opportunity to tell others about their stories and seeing their reaction. It's really just it's the people and learning more about their work and getting other people excited about the work that they do.
You have anything upcoming you want to share with our audience?
Um, no, I don't have anything exciting. Look for 2025. I do have some exciting plans for 2025. I can't tell just yet, but a lot of good things that are coming up in 2025.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank Suzanne Forte for being a part of episode 128. Top tips for PR for small businesses. So, she shared her expertise, gave me some tips. I took some notes here. Hopefully, you guys take notes. I have on the screen. Make sure you reach out to her, request to follow, or to what do you do on LinkedIn? What is that? Connection. Make a connection on LinkedIn.
Make a connection or follow. Yes.
Yeah, follow, make a connection. Instagram. You can follow what she's doing there at Suzanne Forte PR. If you have a direct, specific questions, you can email her. If you want to know how to work with her, I guess she'll lay it out. If you need PR for your company, for your business, for your nonprofit, there's her information there. Any closing words as we close out today?
I have two. So one, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to your audience. But as I mentioned at the beginning, I think it's super important that Detroit small business owners take advantage of this moment. All eyes are on Detroit. So think about like how you can plug in. And then if there's one more tip that I want to leave you with, I think there's a super easy way for you to learn about your industry every day. Set your Google News settings on your smartphone. So when you are actively following different tabs on the web, your Google News will aggregate and start to show you the same things or similar things every day. And so that's an easy way
Now, could you
for
rewind that play again? So now, what do you do on the Google News? Is it the Google browser on your phone, or?
Yes, so Google News, if Google is your home browser, it
Okay.
is tracking some of the stories that you are actively looking at every day. And so if you train or start to follow certain industries, every day your Google News home site could be your own industry in source of information. So that's a really easy way to learn
Okay.
about or keep up about what's going on in your
What's going on
industry.
in the industry? Okay, that's a good pro tip. You gave us a few tips today, so we appreciate that. We appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, Suzanne Forte, seasoned public relations consultant. Reach out to her. We'll have it in our show notes for the replay on our YouTube channel. The way you can connect with her. And we just thank you again and thank the audience for watching us. And I want to double check, see if we had any questions. Okay. Someone who's watching the show says, love it. Thank you, Suzanne. So thank you, Billy Collins, for watching the podcast live. I wanted to acknowledge that. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that concludes our podcast, and thanks again. We'll see you next week. For those who are watching us, if you like shows like this and believe in supporting independent media, please like, share, follow, tell your friends. We're about positive content. I know you can go hear the tea on the other programs. You know, we're not about spilling the tea. We want to give positive content that's going to help you become a better version of yourself, give you information to help you in your business, in your personal life, and to help you grow. And more importantly, make positive connections. So I'll see you guys next week. Check out this. I got a few announcements as we go out. And I see you. Well, actually, we're trying to put together a special show on election eve. So I'm trying to bring back one of our guests who's a community organizer, another guest. so we can talk about a little bit of what we think is going to happen in the election. So trying to put together an election show. We'll see how that works. Otherwise, you guys have a good night.
Hey, Detroit. Are you a Detroit area small business owner, entrepreneur, leader of a nonprofit organization, or a business service provider? And are you looking for ways to share your product, service, or your programs with a local Detroit audience? Let us help you increase your reach by becoming an ad sponsor with the Detroit Metro Plug podcast powered by Empower You Ventures. Our weekly video podcast is a growing local feature on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn that focuses on local business and community news. This gives you a chance to connect with local Detroit customers or clients. We offer cost-effective ads to fit your needs. Click the link to learn more about our current ad specials. And remember, connections matter. This is Charlie the Plug with the Detroit Metro Plug podcast. Hey everyone, this is Charlie the Plug, your host of the Detroit Metro Plug podcast, powered by Empower You Ventures. Don't forget to subscribe so you too can be a part of the biggest empowerment network on YouTube and Facebook. We bring you weekly interviews of Detroit difference makers in the area of entrepreneurship, community involvement, also reaction to business news and community news. This does not happen without your support. Thank you.